The trailer of the season 2 of the live action One Piece has finally dropped, and boy, what a trailer was it. I gave it a few watch throughs just to make sure I didn't miss anything, and I'm at a state where I'm happy to talk about it. I wasn't able to do any season 1 live action One Piece content on this channel, just due to being on a little bit of a hiatus, but One Piece is my favorite series of all time, so I'm really interested in talking about everything that I like and dislike about the live action. In this context, we're going to be talking about everything we've seen in the trailer. And to give you all a little bit of a hook, a little bit of a retention scheme here, I actually think that this second season is going to be better than the first. I wasn't incredibly high on the first season, just due to a lot of subjective issues that I had with it. But in the trailer that was just given to us, I had 4 schools of thought that I want to share with everyone. I want to go over the stuff that I liked from the trailer, the stuff that I was most looking forward to in this season, the stuff that I didn't like in the trailer, and the stuff that I think might be a problem that they might encounter in season 2. 4 separate schools of thought, and we're going to get into them very quickly. I just need to quickly touch on. I reckon, we don't know this for fact or for certain, I reckon season 2 of One Piece will probably end at the end of Drum Island, or Drum Kingdom, sorry. I reckon that arc will probably end with how it does in the anime, with them, you know, I've just realised we're in a little bit of a tricky ground here with spoilers. I'll chuck spoilers up in the title, just spoilers for where the anime is up to in the live action. Nothing crazy or anything. But I reckon it ends with Chopper joining the gang, and that's where season 2 will end, and then we'll pick up season 3 with the crew landing at Alabasta. Now, let me know down in the comments, do you guys agree with that take, or do you reckon they might go a little bit further? We know from the trailer they definitely reached Drum Kingdom, so it wouldn't make much sense for them not to wrap that arc up. But let me know down in the comments. I'm very intrigued in all your thoughts on where you think they're going to end this season 2. But let's get on to my 4 categories, and we're going to start it positively, and we're going to talk about the things that I really, really liked from this trailer, from what we've been able to see. Number 1, Nico Robin. I think that that's going to be everyone's biggest takeaway. She is absolutely stunning and such a great fit for the role of Robin. They had some character design choices they really needed to flesh out, in the sense of, in the anime at this stage, Robin has quite tan skin, but we know that that's not what she's supposed to look like. She's supposed to have a bit of a pale complexion. And we know, thanks to Oda answering some SBS questions, he let us know what all the Straw Hats' nationalities would be, and he decided Robin's will be Russian. Now, I don't know Robin's actress's nationality, but she's giving off quite a Russian, Eastern Europe type of accent, so I think it really, really fits her character perfectly. And she just stole the screen every time she was on it, just in that brief trailer. We see her using her Hana powers, and it's even so much brutal. Like, we see her snapping necks and snapping bodies in the anime, but the way she forces, like, the Marines' guns to turn on themselves looked absolutely sick. And I can't wait to see her in, her in action and what she can do with her powers in a live action concept. But I also really love with Robin's character that they made her quite a bit older. Now, once again, I don't know the actress's actual age, but you could tell that she was a little bit older than Nami, Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, and Usopp. Now, in the anime, she's older as well. I think she comes in at 27 or 28. She's about 10 years older than Luffy. But in an anime art style, it's quite hard to determine ages. Like, if you just told me that, Robin's 2 years older than the main crew of the Straw Hats, it's like, oh yeah, it's anime. We have 2,000-year-old lolly demon lords. It's such a wide spectrum and so hard to determine an age of an anime character. But I loved how she did seem to be a little bit older, just to give that air of kind of maturity to the crew, which is a core aspect of her character. She plays more of the motherly role to the crew. And her relationship with Luffy, that's a video in of itself. But everything that happens there, I reckon, is it really made me hopeful to see how they casted her as what actress they used for her. So I really, really loved her. Now these videos I do are totally non-scripted, they're off the cuff, but I did make a couple of dot points just so I could make sure that I'm rallying off everything that I really loved about the trailer. So forgive me for looking away from my monitor for a second, but I really loved the I'm blanking on her name, that Vivi and Nami looked like they had a little bit of a battle scene. Now I imagine that this is going on in the what's the island called? The Cactus Island, Whiskey Peak. I reckon that that's probably happening there, and we see like Vivi do a peacock string slashes and tries to attack Nami. That never happens in the anime. They have an interaction at Whiskey Peak, but it's more just dialogue. So to give Nami and Vivi kind of a little, I imagine it wouldn't be very long, but a little bit of an action scene I think would be really cool, and I can't wait to see it. Vivi, even despite all the, complaining and a lot of the issues that people sometimes have with her anime counterpart, I actually really love Vivi's character. Alabasta is one of, if not my favorite arcs in One Piece, so there's a lot of nostalgia going on there. But to get her, have her more screen time, especially with battling, something she doesn't do much in the anime, I think that's just tremendous, and I'm all for seeing more of that. As for her casting choice, I've seen the actress somewhere. Brown skin. If people have an issue with that, I feel like you're an idiot and should get off the internet. They come from if our version of Egypt. Like, as much as I love Vivi's character in the anime, for her to be pale white is an odd choice by Oda. So him and because he does a lot to the live action of One Piece, has a lot of say in it all. For them to cast actress, I don't know if she is Egyptian, if she's Indian, what nationality she is, but for them to cast a brown woman, and I know that Cobra, I had a look, we didn't see him in the trailer, but Cobra's actor is the guy from, it's a bit of a throwback, the TV show Heroes. He plays the Indian, is he a scientist in it? But he's kind of the brains of the operation in the TV show Heroes, which was a big hit in goddamn 2005 or whenever it was. So he and Vivi, I reckon, were perfect casting choices for who we would believe that would be native Egyptians. So I reckon that was a really great casting choice. I think she looked tremendous. I can't wait to see Cobra's actor. He's one of the few with a little bit of star power coming into the show, of like prior achievements that he's done. I noticed that Kureha was also from, I believe she was a mum from Sons of Anarchy, so she's probably the biggest actress in One Piece, I would say. I'm getting off track. She wasn't even in the trailer, Jack. Jesus. But that was a great scene, Nami versus Vivi. I really loved, this is very quick, but I really loved Mr. Three's hair. I thought they did a great job on it in the trailer. Glad to see that that's in full force. And I really loved, this is no surprise, but I really loved the sets that we saw. The few brief shots of Little Garden that we saw and Drum Kingdom looked amazing. So I can't wait to just see in more detail what they've been able to do with the set to really capture the world that Oda has done so much to create. That's the things I really liked from the trailer, that I really took away from it. The things that I really am desperate to see, these are core things that need to be in it. If they don't capture these, this whole season is going to fall away from me. Let me know in the comments if you have any of these deal breakers for you. For me, the first one, and probably potentially the most important, Luffy climbing up the Drum Rockies while carrying Nami and Sanji. This is a scene that really needs to be in the live action. They've both been hurt. Nami's been sick, Sanji's been hurt, and Luffy is forced to climb up this vertical mountain that's kilometers tall. I think it's like 20 kilometers tall, something crazy. And he's climbing it with his bare hands and feet, with like, to no clothing in this blizzard. He falls down the mountain and all his fingertips kind of fly off. He's bleeding everywhere. He eventually makes it up the mountain, and Chopper and Kureha find him. And as he's barely hanging on to conscious, he says to Kureha, "You need to save them. These two are my friends." And Kureha just sees the dedication, the resolve that Luffy has just gone through to bring his two friends to her, for her to save them. And, she's like, this is someone special that I'm looking at here. That's a scene that really needs to be included. And this one will 100% be in it, but they really need to nail it. Hirouluk's death. I would even go so far to say the soundtrack that was playing in the anime, just copy it, put it in the live action as well. Can't remember the name of it, but it is so hauntingly beautiful and sad that it really, really makes a scene. Dalton, we don't know his acting, who's been cast as him. At least I haven't seen it. I could have missed it. That actor is gonna have a lot to do to bounce off Hirouluk. He's gonna steal the screen here, but where they cut back to Dalton about him crying and asking if that's true of a country as well, he's gonna have to really, really put in his acting chops there to really make that scene hit. And those are the two kind of, like, I'm going into this knowing that, things are going to have to change a lot, but those two, they need to be in it for me. Let me know down in the comments, do you agree with me, or do you think, they can go without it, I don't care what they do there? What are your deal breakers in the One Piece Season 2 live action? But, that's probably about half the video. Let's move on to more of a negative tone here. I'm not going to be too negative. There's literally only one thing I didn't like from the trailer. Literally just one. It's my concerns that we're going to be going into a little bit, and I want to see if anyone shares them as well. The thing I disliked, Miss Golden Week looked way, way too old in the trailer. I do understand that in the anime she's 16, but in the anime, that means she's a year younger than Luffy. And if you put those two characters next to each other, they do not look a year apart. So for her to then be cast as like a little bit of an older actress, I would have preferred them cast her as a younger actress and then, say that she is 16. You can always hype up her age type of thing. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Miss Golden Week isn't, much of a character at all, even in Baroque works. The fact that she got some highlight in the trailer might mean that they're going to try to do something a little bit more with her, which I'd be curious to see. But yeah, her age was a little bit out there, and it kind of was a bit jarring to look at. But my biggest concerns with what could be in Season 2, I have 3 of them, and they all revolve around character, how they're going to do certain characters, because the sets and the world and the story, I reckon they're going to get pretty much spot on for a live action take on One Piece. Let's start with the one I'm concerned about the least, and that is Dory and Broggy, the 2 giants from Little Garden. I reckon that they will be handled well. We see giants a lot in other forms of fiction in TV, so I reckon they should be pretty easy to do. But when you're handling people that are massive, they're like 20 meters tall, 20, 30 meters tall, when you're handling sizes like that, to scale them to the other characters can sometimes be a little bit tricky, but I do have faith that the directors behind the live action of One Piece will be able to make it work, but it is a concern that I think it needs to be mentioned. Concern number 2, and everyone's going to have this, I reckon. It was very noticeable that he wasn't included in the trailer. Chopper. What is Chopper going to look like? And not only is he, I don't want to just know what he's going to look like from one image. What's he going to look like in motion? This is one of the characters that really kind of can't have an actor playing it. It kind of has to all be CGI unless they're going to train a reindeer to talk. So he's going to be difficult to do. Not only is it a strange concept, it's not just a talking reindeer. It's a talking, miniature, upstanding human reindeer. So I really reckon that that's going to be very kind of hit and miss for a lot of people. I don't reckon they'll be able to get it 100% right for everyone, which is, that's just the nature of the internet and the world. Everyone has different subjective takes on everything. But that's going to be a challenge, and I hope it doesn't break the vibe that they're trying to set in the live action. Because if he's looking really dorky, really kind of out of place and kind of lame, that kind of influences the whole story. Oda can draw characters that look goofy, but the way that he draws them fits in his world so much. But that's a 2D world. In a live action 3D concept, I do think things like this become more prevalent and harder to hide, I guess you could say. So Chopper and what they do with him is going to be very, very interesting. I think they made the right choice not to show him. If they did, that's all anyone would really be talking about from the trailer. So, it's like the trailer of Jaws. You don't show the shark. We want to wait and be surprised at what Chopper looks like. But then not the big talking point, but the biggest concern I have, and a little bit like I got into with the nationality of Vivi and Cobra's actor and actress. It's a little bit of more of a political kind of discussion, which I don't really want to get into, so I'm going to try to stay away from that as much as possible and just go into it from the character in One Piece. But you all know who I'm talking about. Bon Clay. He's going to be an interesting one. Technically speaking, they don't need to show him in this at all. But in the anime, he definitely would be seen. He's sent to go assassinate Mr. 3, and he does have cameos in trying to accomplish that. They can very much just leave him out and just leave him in Season 3. I don't know if they will do that. We're going to discuss it as if he was going to be included in Season 2. Because even if he's just included in Season 3, it's going to cause issues anyway. I said with Chopper that, you're not going to get everyone to be happy with it. Bon Clay is that on steroids. It's such a difficult character to draw. It's even hard to kind of distinguish what he is. I know you might be thinking, oh, Jack, it's easy. He/she, they're transgender. But they're not. He's more, from everything I remember, he identifies as a man, but is a cross-dresser. So he's a little bit different than someone who's transgender. I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritties with it all, but with how they show him will be quite interesting, because in modern-day shows, they like to show people, they don't like, a straight actor acting out a gay role. They like to, use minorities and give them the attention and screen time that they deserve, which I think is the right thing to do. But Oda, the way he draws and handles Bon Clay is very, very interesting, because he's one of the most beloved characters in all of One Piece. And rightfully so, I reckon. And he gives Bon Clay a lot of spotlight. He's Luffy's kind of biggest support, biggest crutch in one of the most devastating arcs for him. But he's drawn to be overtly ugly. And not just him, a lot of the cross-dressers and a lot of the more transgender characters from Kamabaka Island are drawn to be like that. Now, how they're going to show that in live action is very interesting, I reckon. Is he going to look quite different than Bon Clay, or are they going to try and make it as accurate as possible? Obviously, Bon Clay has some features that can't be humanly replicated, like the longer nose and the disproportionate mouth and eyes and stuff like that. But how they do him is going to be super, super interesting. And it's sad, because regardless of how they do it, not everyone's going to be happy with it. A lot of people are probably going to dislike it. Even if you get away with the people that don't like it because they don't think it's representative of who the anime character Bon Clay is, there are going to be some people that are just bigoted against the character as well. So how they do Bon Clay, I'm going to find really, really interesting. I know I keep repeating the same word, but I'm trying to discuss it without getting into... This isn't a political channel. My takes on it all is that I think everyone should be loved and respected for who they are. So I reckon that is going to be a controversy that the show gets into. And I don't like that, because I feel like that might take away from the splendid character that Bon Clay is and how important he is to One Piece. So I really hope people that may have not have seen One Piece before don't kind of make it all about that one point and then take away from the show as a whole. That would be very, very disappointing. Not just for the show and story that they're trying to create, but also for the actor or actress who's playing Bon Clay. So that's how I'm gonna leave the video. Let me know down in the comments what you all think of the newest trailer, what you guys want season 2 to be like. Things like what I think, episodes relating to each arc, where I think it's going to end in more detail. Hypothetically, when do they get to Drum Island? Oh, it's going to happen episode 4, 5, 6. Stuff like that I might do in a future episode. Might go into a little bit more of the live action One Piece. But I've been Jack Cypher. It's been a pleasure talking about it. If you've liked the video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And everyone, have a lovely night.